to the House.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. In accordance, though, with the determination of the Business Committee, I now call on Dr. Ashraf Choudhary to make his valedictory statement. Dr. Ashraf Choudhary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And my parliamentary colleagues and former parliamentary colleagues. First, I wish to greet you all in some of the languages of the people I have represented over the last 9 years. Kia ora, Assalamu alaikum, Shalom, Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, Ayubowan, Ni hao, and good afternoon. And to my Pacifica colleagues, I say Tulofalawa Malelo. Mr. Speaker, I acknowledge the presence of members of my family, many members of the diplomatic corps, tangata whenua, community leaders, friends and supporters who have come from various parts of New Zealand to join me on this occasion. Many of these individuals and community representatives, too numerous to mention here, have provided me guidance and encouragement and support in fulfilling my role as an MP for the Labour Party and the implementation of its policies over 9 years. Mr. Speaker, every member of this House realises the value of the work and support of their life partner. I wish to thank my wife, Samina, who has been the foundation of family support over my 3 terms as an MP, which has resulted in me being away from home over long periods while undertaking a large amount of travel around Aotearoa, New Zealand. Samina kept the family stability and loving care for our daughter Mehreen and her husband Shahid, my eldest son Anwar and his wife Rabia, and our younger son Atif. Through this unending love and encouragement, our children have achieved high standards academically and vocationally and become positive contributors to society. Their ongoing success has fulfilled my dreams. Mr. Speaker, my political journey actually started some 40 years ago during my student life at the university, as many in this House probably have done so. I joined a progressive political party in my first homeland, Pakistan, and took part in my first election as an activist. On election day, for my safety and to avoid his own embarrassment, my father locked me up in my room because I was going to vote against his party. So that was the end of my very short political career in Pakistan, and I left that country soon thereafter. Mr. Speaker, from then on, as I would journey through life, I decided to help open closed doors for others to the field of education, community development and politics. My waka to Aotearoa, New Zealand first landed in 1976. As an Asian, on my arrival, I felt prejudice as conveyed by often used words such as curry munchers, wogs and niggers. Once I understood the meaning of these words, I started working across different communities to change such prevailing racism. Conveying my beliefs of fairness, justice and equality, I aligned with the core principles of the Labour Party. As a grassroots worker, I undertook to assist ethnic communities to understand Aotearoa New Zealand democracy, rule of law, tolerance, human rights, and providing leadership quietly and peacefully, ingesting ourselves as positive, law-abiding contributors to the Crown and the Tangata Whenua, two co-signatories of the Treaty of Waitangi. It was my long history of involvement in the Muslim and ethnic communities which, under MMP, eventually led me to become the first member of South Asian extraction and the first Muslim member of the New Zealand Parliament in 2002. Mr. Speaker, often there is a stigma attached with the list MPs, as we probably heard many times, that they have no electorate or constituency of their own. In my case, I believe this has been far from the truth. I have had the largest constituency spread across the cities and towns of New Zealand over these years. As an MP, I was able to promote sport and diversity in New Zealand and offer my expertise as agricultural and environmental scientist. As such, I represented all people, irrespective of their ethnicity, creed, or religion. I took upon myself additional roles to continue to educate the migrant and ethnic communities about democracy, the rule of law, tolerance, and the New Zealand way of life. Many migrants have come from countries and regions where democracy is non-existent or not practiced as we know in New Zealand. I have facilitated our ethnic communities to become involved in decision-making at all levels, and I have quietly worked to break down barriers which have included access to MPs and visiting within the confines of the building, a strain to many new migrants to this country. Mr. Speaker, the Asian population in New Zealand is projected to have the largest relative growth, averaging 3.4% a year. Their share of the population is likely to equate the Maori population within the next few years. These demographic changes need to be catered for. All the political parties need to uptake their responsibilities. It is not good enough to just use ethnic MPs and their communities a kind of ATM machines. Ethnic communities seek respect and long-term relationships with political parties and not just a lip service and a few minutes of attendance at their annual festivals, then leave them as if they might catch bird flu. Education is a key to understanding of differences through the common goals of peace, security, and opportunity for all families and communities. I have undertaken this through encouraging numerous community leaders to undertake interfaith dialogue, ethnic workshops, and the strengthening and inter-participation of ethnic communities. The growth of non-Christian faiths, as reflected in the last New Zealand census, provides a platform for continued diversity through knowledge, understanding, sharing, and peace in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Associated with this endeavour, in my first term, I initiated the hosting of faith and cultural festivals within Parliament for community representatives, and starting with the Diwali festival for the Hindu community and the Eid festival for the Muslim community. Mr. Speaker, the Labour government set up the Maori television channel, which I regularly watch. This has been a great success in reaching out to the Maori community and celebrating their contribution. Time has come that we need to do something similar for the ethnic communities of New Zealand. Last year, I promoted my private member's bill on establishing an ethnic broadcasting commission of inquiry. Because of our diverse society, I envisioned that this is a way to promote a choice of more multicultural and multilingual television services that informs, educates, and provides entertainment accessible to all New Zealanders. Unfortunately, this bill has not been drawn for debate so far. I trust future governments on both sides will take a serious note of this urgent need for the ethnic communities. Mr. Speaker, I've been a keen member of the Primary Production Select Committee continuously for 9 years, and the Education and Science Select Committee during my first 2 terms in Parliament. This was the choice I made, and it was granted. I also chaired the Education and Science Select Committee in 2008. I believe members on both sides of the House have appreciated my contribution as an agriculture scientist on these committees. I will certainly miss colleagues on the Primary Production Select Committee. I thoroughly enjoyed it. In these roles, I confirm my view that we need to continuously innovate in our agriculture sector. Knowledge, science, research and development as the skills of our primary industry is our competitive advantage in the world. Mr. Speaker, high-value exports rely on innovation. Innovation requires investment in education, research through universities and the private sector, and development through business interrelationships. This is required for our future economic growth to meet overseas demand for premium products and services currently required in the high economic growth countries. With the rising GDP and economic influence of Asia in the world, our small country down under needs to seriously reassess our association with Asia. It is my sad observation that for too long our relationship with Asia have remained transactional in nature, whether in the field of business, education and training or tourism. From what I learned from our interactions, we politicians and New Zealand public need to broaden our thinking and outlook and more deeply engage with the tangata whenua, immigrants, and particularly with Asian people, and earn their trust and respect. These matters have also often come up during discussions when I have been interacting or hosting many overseas diplomats, particularly from the Asian and Middle Eastern region. I believe my close working relationship with members of the diplomatic community from the wider Asian and Middle Eastern region, as evidenced by the presence in the gallery of many of them today, have brought significant benefits to Aotearoa New Zealand in the growth of education, trade and political relationships, and better understanding of the diversity and significant value to New Zealand. Mr. Speaker, yesterday we heard the sad news of the death of our SCR soldier, Leon Smith, in Afghanistan. I wish to extend my heartfelt condolences to his family and his loved ones. As Honourable Phil Goff said yesterday, I know this is not the time to talk about the rights and wrongs of the presence of our troops in Afghanistan. However, Mr. Speaker, we must reflect on these issues urgently, as we cannot continue to fight other people's immoral and unending wars of retribution and vengeance. We cannot stand tall among independent nations unless we follow our own homegrown policies. These policies need to be based on fairness, justice and equity and human rights for all. Mr. Speaker, when entering Parliament, I was particularly fortunate to work with the former Prime Minister, Helen Clark. Her leadership skills are unparalleled in her long service to the people of Aotearoa New Zealand, coupled with the visionary support of her Deputy, the Honourable Michael Cullen. These leaders have been aptly replaced by Honourable Phil Goff and Annette King, who have professionally continued the leadership, the direction and the vision of the Labour Party. They are backed by colleagues full of vibrancy, intellect and skills to bring Aotearoa New Zealand to the economic, social skills needed to become fully competitive within our wider world. These skilled members of Parliament and members of the caucus provide an interactive and an environment in which I have always enjoyed their company. To that end, can I acknowledge my former colleagues from Palmerston North, Honourable Steve Mahari, for being my mentor during the first 6 years of my career as an MP.